All right, aloha. Welcome to Lucy's Paradise podcast. We have Kaleo, one of my good friends from like way back when. And yeah, why don't we just talk about Hawaii and how it was growing up in the 80s and 90s?
Oh, Hawaii growing up in the 80s and 90s. I feel bad for all these kids today. Man, it was
Yeah?
fun.
Why?
Um,
Why do you feel
you
bad?
know, I because they missed out. They missed out on the best generation ever. The 80s, the 90s. You know,
So,
we didn't have this. We
yeah,
had face to face. We
we had
had
like knocking,
depending.
can Lucy come
Yeah,
out to play? Like the bike
yeah.
crew.
Meet at Uka Bridge. Meet at
Yeah,
Wyandotte Park.
yeah.
Yo, yeah.
Bridge,
Yeah, 16 acres.
16
Like,
acres.
yo,
Yeah. The Gulch.
that was Facebook. Yep, that was Facebook.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. But growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was fun. I grew up a nerd, you know. Um, I went to private schools. My only tenor was Mililani Middle at a public school. Um, I was one of the forefronts for the colored tracks. Remember the colored tracks?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
green, red, blue, and yellow.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, went to Damien. Damien grad uh, was in ROTC. It was one of the last ROTC cadets before they shipped off the program to Pudaho because they were conjoining the schools. Damien to be in a co-ed school. I went there. It was just boys.
All boys. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but growing up, it was different. Um, it was fun. I grew up in a military family. A Polynesian military family. Um, it was it was fun. My dad, he worked for the state and he was in the military. He worked for the Department of Public Safety. He was a chaplain for both the military and Department of Public Safety. So he instilled a lot of religious moral values growing up. So it was what was expected of the 90s growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had my fun. I played Dungeons and Dragons, played outside. I had my five best friends, one of them who's actually here with me. Like it was a thing of the past, watching those videos on TikTok and YouTube and seeing like, the 80s and 90s and the things that we, miss out on. And,
Yeah.
it's different nowadays. You've got technology. You really just depend on technology to do everything for you. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like we have
So have you been
the
back?
last blockbuster here,
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I
hmm
gotta go visit there.
Bend.
Have you been back to Hawaii?
Yes, a few times
Have you
in the
seen kind of
last.
like how it's changed
I got
a
lost in
little
our own
bit?
hometown.
Oh, shit. That's not good.
I lived by Rec 2 by
Yeah,
Hanalani.
that's not good. You got lost.
I got lost trying to go down Knob Hill.
Dang,
Um,
really?
it
Were
was
you
different
there? Were you with
because
me when we used to bomb Nob Hill? Like
yo,
skateboard.
Knob Hill, Snake Hill,
Yep.
um, the ravine by middle school. Like,
Oh yeah, I forgot
yo,
about that one.
like, yep.
Snake Hill was. We were like, that shit was so dangerous. Like, what the heck is wrong with us?
Oh man, it was so fun. Like, going down Kipapa Gulch on
Yeah.
bikes. Yep. Yeah, bombing those hills. See, kids don't know what rollerblades are. Remember those days?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. My dog's
But
getting
yeah.
needy now. Why you gonna cry when I start a podcast? Come on, guy. Um, what kind of music, TV shows, movies had influences on you?
A lot of
I know
fantasy.
it's always
No,
hard when it's questions
no,
about you.
no. It's easy because a lot of fantasy, a lot of superheroes. You know, um, I grew up in a house where English speaking was bar none. You know what I mean? Grew up in a house where it
What do you
was
guys speak?
Samoan and Okinawan, but English as I grew older. So you know, like it was diversified. You know what I mean? It was different. So my English was based off of what I saw or what I had contact with outside the house. So like Spider-Man really got me going. You know, Peter Parker, the Outcast. You know,
Who's your favorite Spider-Man? I love asking that question.
OG. OG Peter Parker, yo. OG Peter Parker. And we're talking amazing series now, Peter Parker, where he loses
So,
Gwen Stacy before he meets Beansbury Jane. Yeah. Yes.
so who is
Yes.
like Tobey Maguire OG?
Uh no, I'd have to go animated OG.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, out of the three,
Yeah.
uh,
I meant like I meant
people are gonna hate me for this when I say this. You ready? Andrew Garfield.
dang, I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
Because out of all three Spider-Men, he was the most broken. And if you watch the last Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker kind of looked like he had his stuff together. He had everything. He may have lost Uncle Ben and Aunt May. Tom Holland's Peter Parker, he just lost Aunt May. You know what I mean? You don't really know. You know the backstory between Uncle Ben and
Yeah.
Aunt May in that one. But Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, you see his pain. He loses Uncle Ben. He loses Gwen. You know what I mean? He saves Tom Holland's Peter Parker's Mary Jane, you know, from repeating. So he's the most broken, but he's the most understandable broken Spider-Man because he takes all that aggression out and he makes other. That's why they call him the Amazing Spider-Man. You know, like everything that he's been through, he's succeeded. Yeah.
I like that. That's a good explanation.
And plus, too, his version of Spider-Man kills Miles Morales. So
That's true. That's true. I love watching Spider-Man. It's so addicting.
yo, you watched the new one on Disney Plus?
I haven't watched a new one yet.
I recommend it.
Okay, I do have Disney Plus though. My friend logged in on my TV, so I have like all his shows on there. I know I'm so lucky.
But
do you
yeah,
think
fantasy.
the local boy? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think the local boy identity has changed? Like with the rise of social media, like that whole. Do you see like what the local boys look like now? It's fucking funny.
I try not to. I really fucking try not to. Okay, look. 8mm Milano chain, you know what I mean? The West Side fade with the line down the side. I gotta have my press shirt with my super short Louis Vuitton unmatched color pants with my super high soccer socks for my little sister. Yeah, pretty much seen those types. Because they have them out here.
My favorite are those fucking shades that everyone's obsessed with. What are those called? My nephew wanted
snowboard
those.
shades.
Yeah. Like they all have. Oh my god, it's so fucking funny. We're not
Oakley and Bonzies. No. Because I'm a local boy that kind of dresses I have the old school local boy vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you kind of caught me on a bad day, but usually I have. You know me. I usually have this lined up. Everything's good, including my eyebrows. I get my nails done. I get my feet done. You know what I mean? Like I do the whole thing. Okay. But I don't push it to the extent where I wear my little sister's jeans.
Yeah. You're a different breed.
Of local boy. Yeah.
So it's changed.
It has, but it's a good change though. Like, cause you know what? I hate to say it because they have parents that are our age.
Yeah,
some of them do.
I would say that, like compared to like the local boys growing up, you know, excluding you, and like I have like friends that are like a little bit younger. They're probably like, you know, they're coming up in their 20s or whatever. They're so polite and like they have really good like they're like gentlemen. They have really good manners. Like opening the
Chivalry
door.
is a fickle thing.
Yeah, but they like for sure they have it, which I feel like
It's
is
because,
more
yeah.
than when I was growing up. It's crazy.
Well, it's a rare breed because, like, for me, it was based on my environment. My dad told me, "You hold your wife's purse. You open up the door for her, car door. You know what I mean? You the store, restaurant
Make
door. You
sure she
pull her
buys
seat
one
out
that
for
looks
her."
cute with you, you know?
Yeah. Hey, look, listen. I've done my fair share in big stores where like guys will look at me and be in Secret, and I'll be holding my wife's little clutch bag to be like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Just be like the most hardest
Yeah,
looking dude with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sunglasses on, just like,
With the cutest
especially when she
bag.
goes to the register and she goes, "Pass me my wallet." And it's just like, okay,
That's so funny.
yeah.
It's hilarious.
But
That's
yes,
so
chivalry is a thing. It's rare out here. It has to be taught. But
yeah. Where are you
the,
at? Where are you at?
I am in Salem, Oregon, the great state capital of Oregon, the best state in the Pacific Northwest.
What brought you
I
out there?
am
I'm
a,
curious.
a restart,
Okay.
a fresh start, new chapter. Um, my dad died in 2012. My dad was a big influence on my life. Me growing up, me and my dad were real close to each other. You know that.
Yeah.
And, I lost my older sibling, as you know that too. So after losing my dad, I'm in my second marriage. So my last marriage, my ex-wife, she screwed me big time.
You always
You
gotta have a
know,
practice marriage.
oh, that was more than a practice marriage. But, shout out to the ones that came back though. Shout out to the ones that came back. Um, I, I felt like, there was more for me out, out here than there. My dad always told me, why don't you do something? So I got that late start in the military, jumped on that bandwagon, you know, progressed on, and then just moved. I first started off in California.
Hmm.
My mom runs and owns one of the L&L Hawaiian barbecue food chains in Tracy.
Oh wow.
So I went out there for a little bit after my tenure, and then went to North Carolina, went back home for a little bit out in, Fort Bragg County.
Yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah.
it's Fort Justice, but went out there, ran a restaurant, dessert bar, and hookah lounge. That's kind of where I fell into
Ooh.
the cannabis culture just for a little bit, because when I came here to Oregon, I had one of the best opportunities, which I still do part time, which is heading a collectible comic book and trading card store out here in Salem and in Eugene.
Oh, okay. That's
So
perfect because
yeah.
that was my next question is like how you got interested in the cannabis industry and your personal experience down that path. So that's perfect.
So let's just head into that. I
Yeah.
have so much to say to that. One day, I was out here. It was my first year out here, and dispensaries are like Tesoro and Chevron gas stations. Like I live literally, I have what is it, Zumi? 4 dispensaries down the road. Yeah, we have 4 dispensaries, excluding my location. Um, and it's the convenience of it. Well, anyways, I had a coworker who came in and he noticed that I was in pain. I was having back pain a lot and stuff like that because I didn't realize my onset cancer symptoms were coming back. But he told me, hey, try this and, try and take this. And it was RSO, which was Rick Simpson oil. And I'll get more into that in a bit, but it's pretty much 3.5 ounces of cannabis compressed, hashed out, and put into a gelatinous tube that you suck on.
Hmm.
You just need a dime drop. Um,
Okay.
it helped me with my back pain,
Wow.
you know? So the statistics were proven. Man made beer, God made weed. Who would you trust? You know what I mean? It was here on this planet for a reason. My coworker was telling me, he started introducing me into edibles. And so I started falling in love into the culture. And then he introduced me to his brother. His brother is one of the leading dispensary owners out here in Oregon. And I kind of just linked up with him just briefly before he moved to Colorado. And he got my foot into it. He taught me everything from growing, from what I knew, he told me to forget, from that island style of growing and knowing what, marijuana is and what weed is, to like knowing pH levels and like the science and the breakdowns from sativa to like, the different components, what we can talk about later, like
Mhm.
THCA and THC and,
Yeah.
HHC and CBD, like I got that whole forefront. And within the last 3 years, within the last 3 years, I have won a strain of cannabis in the Cannabis Cup in Alaska. Me and my old business partner, she made that possible. Uh, Gave a lot of islanders out here opportunities to work. You know, um, it helped also me medically, relationship wise. It helped me mentally. So going back to smoking my first doobie out there at Ehukai at 13 years old to where I'm at now, it's just a whole totally different story.
That's so funny because like that's how that's kind of the first experience I had with weed. Like when I was growing up, I was playing hockey out here,
Yeah, I remember that.
and it was
You're a
one
beast, by the
day.
ways.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I played for
Yo,
10 years, but I had
yep.
like just a really bad day where my back was killing me, and then one of my teammates was like, "Oh, have you ever tried weed or whatever?" My mom was like super anti-drug,
Yo, whose parents weren't?
but I was like, "Well, fuck it." Like, I mean, I'm very like try everything once, give everything. That's just
Yeah.
my philosophy. And yeah,
Whatever works, works.
straight up, my back pain went away. Obviously, I do different methods now. I don't smoke weed or anything anymore, but
Right.
it for sure but that's how I got into it. It wasn't like just to like fuck around and party or anything like that. It was like literally for pain, just fucking how many years ago?
Yeah.
That's crazy. We have like almost a similar story.
Right. And but see, the progression and digression of it has changed because I took that long gap, of not smoking pot. And, you know, when that opioid era of addiction and big pharma came along, you know what I mean? I saw what it was doing to my friends. I saw what it was doing back home. I saw what it was doing here. So like that scared the fuck out of me. Excuse my French, but
Yeah.
it did. You know what I mean? Like for so many people to be dependent on something like this big and not knowing what the actual components are compared to like knowing something that's on a label, you know what I mean? And getting the understanding and the forefront and, the opinions and medical background and research because, we have labs that do testing. We have doctors that say this, you know what I mean? When have you heard of a marijuana overdose? Never.
Yeah,
When have you heard of an opioid overdose? Every 33 seconds.
that's crazy.
So knowing that and seeing it, that's what scared the fuck out of me into going back into marijuana real hard because I knew eventually that's where I would be headed. Some people say, no, I'm not going to do that. I have control. I have balance. I have really good self-control, but there are going to be some days where I won't,
What do you
you
think is
know,
the biggest misconception about the cannabis business?
it's a gateway drug. It's a gateway to
Yeah.
it's the promoting of an illegal substance.
Mm,
You know, there are a lot of people that really hate on me for pushing and promoting marijuana because it saved my life. That stereotypical, oh, it's a gateway drug, you're gonna do this. Well, statistics have proven that actually marijuana has saved some people that have been trying to cut other substances and other addictions.
yeah.
So yeah, that's my outlook on it. It's like that negative stereotype of, oh man, you're going to be a stoner, a slacker, or nobody. I know some very predominant people that come into the dispensary and they're very profound and they're very, very, very well educated and they're very well known around here. And like Sam Elliott, he lives here in Oregon. Okay. The dude that does the Ram voice and he was the voice of the mayor in Family Guy. He's an actual
Oh,
dude out here. He actually has a dispensary out here.
he's a dude out here.
Yeah, he's a dude. He's the dude out here. He's the
That's
dude out
cool.
here. Yeah. And he's he's one of the forefront people that pushes every year to like, try and get it to where we get it federally legal, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different. It's fun though. It's fun battling with people who think they have the conception of what they know about marijuana, and they meet somebody like me who I can agree and disagree with them, and it blows their mind.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's hilarious. Like my
Yeah.
friend here.
Well, there's so many different like elements to it, and like
Mhm.
my mom, for example, right, has always been really anti whatever. She had a lot of like joint pain. And I think it was my sister or me or something, we found like the CBD stuff. And so I gave it to her and it was working. She loves it. And then she had no idea what it was, right? And so I like
Mhm.
explained it to her and she was like, "Oh shit." And she was like, "Oh damn." Like, yeah, and
Right.
I was like, "See, like not every single part of it is bad, you know what I mean? You're not smoking, you're not smoking it, but it's different, you know what I mean? Like it's but she had no idea. She was like, "What the hell?"
Right. Give me just one
But
second. Can you see if my daughter comes in? Just stand outside. Sorry about that. My daughter's coming home from school and she's walking home for the first time. So we're making,
oh,
yeah, she's she's really, really, did she make it safely? Yes, okay. Yeah, my friends are really trusted around here. They're not just my business associates, they're not just my crew. They are my godfathers to my kids.
that's good.
So, yeah, they're on it just like me. If daddy's working, uncles are working too. So yeah,
Yeah,
she's
that's good.
experiencing walking home for the first time, which is
Oh,
cool.
how old is she?
Yeah, she just turned 14.
Oh,
Yeah, she's
damn.
a real introvert.
Oh, okay, okay.
And yeah,
I was
but
gonna say,
yeah, it's
I hope she's up to no good, giving you heart attacks like you were probably doing. Nah, you were a good kid. I think you were a pretty good kid, actually. So maybe you're
I
blessed.
own a shotgun. I do own a shotgun.
She's like,
And
I'm not.
guys, yeah, no, dads, they know, they know.
They're
Henry, come
scared.
here. Yeah,
They're
and
like,
it's funny though, because even my kids, they grow up like in the environment that I'm involved in. They're really well versed.
mm,
You know, they they're not looked at differently neither. Like, hey, your dad does cannabis. Like your dad promotes cannabis. Your dad, sells cannabis. It's yeah, and like cool.
yeah,
But yeah, but going back to the stereotypes and stuff like that, yeah, there are a lot of negatives. I feel that it's safer than the cigarette alternative.
yeah.
You
It's
know,
totally different. I knew so my ex-wife's mom, she was like a cancer nurse, and she said, I was against it for so long, except she knew of a girl who constantly had seizures and nothing worked until they introduced her to like recreational cannabis. And
right?
for the first time, she stopped having seizures and yeah, something just like it clicked in her mind, like, oh my god, this is not as evil as people have been perceiving. And there's actually a documentary on Netflix that talks about like the government trying to control cannabis and shit. So, that all that is really interesting. But are they
It's a
gonna try and
scary
legalize it
fact.
here?
Okay, so that is the big boom here.
Because it's
So
only for recreation here, right? If you get a license.
no, medical,
I mean, not yeah,
um,
medical. That's what I meant. Yeah, medical.
medical. Yes, your medical marijuana policies out there are a little bit different than most states that have medical. Strategically speaking, they're trying to make it legal recreationally by 2026. They're really trying to push a forefront for that bill that's out there. I think it's like 1248 or something, like 1245 or something like that. But the only downside to that bill is that where are they going to get it?
Yeah, I think they were just voting on that too. I'll look it up later.
Yes, they it's a because a lot of us
Where are
are
they gonna get
looking
it? Like, where are they gonna get the weed?
because
Well,
they would have to get it from us.
people can
But
legally grow it here though.
yes, they can. But genetically speaking, you'd have to move seeds. because not all strains are progressively grown in Hawaii. So a lot of the strains that you see in dispensaries out there are they're GP seed, which is a global profiting for cannabis, which entails certain dispensaries to globally or farms to globally allow them licensed wise to send marijuana all around the world. Like Thailand's got them. Like Thailand's just recently got legal, like federally. So like everybody and their mama is smoking marijuana. Canada just got federally legal. So a lot of their dispensaries are about to get globalized. So where we can send to Hawaii, because legally speaking, even if it was recreational in Hawaii, if I was to send, as a dispensary owner and a farm owner, if I was to send seeds across the Pacific Ocean, which is an international trade line, I am also violating international trade laws. I am also committing a federal offense, which is moving a very low class drug in a massive amount, which would be the intent to distribute a massive amount of marijuana with the amount of seeds that I would send. And it would get me 10 to 15 years in prison. So that's the only thing that they're finding a problem with, is because they got to get dispensaries like here in the United States, which aren't globally certified, because we're not federally legal. Right. So Hawaii's not trying to go to other countries. They want to stay in the United States, like with California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, Florida, Maine, New Hampshire, those states.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like we're booming for it though, because if it hits, you'll see a Mary Jane's Pharmacy out there. Eventually.
That's dope. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Yes. Like we just missed the cannabis convention this year, but hopefully we'll try it next year. This year we're gonna try for next year. So hopefully by the time then, you guys should be recreationally legal. So we're crossing our fingers on that. That'd be the only time I'd move back home.
I feel like, honestly, it's already recreationally legal. I have never not seen somebody smoking. I've never seen a cop give a fuck about it here. Like,
dude, that's honestly, the thing.
Like, nothing's gonna happen to you here, unless you get like pulled over for something else, and then they like smell it or something. Like, but
well,
as far as I know,
that's
my friend be walking past cops smoking weed, so I don't
smoke.
See,
because nobody, that's the thing, is like out there, it's persona non grata out there.
Yeah, it's just like the weird culture out here, like the lax culture, And HPD doesn't do their job anyway, so they're not about to,
So I heard. But we're not talking about HPD now, are we?
Yeah, no.
But yeah, no, out here, it's lax to a certain point. We have our 420 festivals. We have our weed conventions. We have our expos. We have our drops. There's a lot of things out here. A lot of super, mega stars and hip hop artists opening up dispos and dropping marijuana strains out here. So it's kind of lax, but then it's still just like if you were to get stolen and hop in your car, you get a ticket.
Right. Yeah.
Or so there are certain.
Tell me about the comic book stuff. Kind of switching gears a little.
Yeah, so that has been fun. Hosted 2 Comic-Cons, went to SDCC, heading out to Emerald City soon. I have been doing comics since I was a little kid. I've been collecting things since a little kid. It started with action figures and Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! But I've always gravitated back to comics. It's always been the story. It's always been
comic character.
Marvel's Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man. I can even tell you the issue that is my favorite. It's 367. It's the first appearance of Green Goblin.
Oh, I do like that movie. That one dude that plays Green Goblin, he's like so.
Oh, Willem Dafoe.
He was so perfect for that fucking role.
He played Norman Osborn so well. But yeah, comics has been a part of my life. Helped me learn English, speak English, helped me connect with other people, helped me feel comfortable with myself. You know, I'm a nerd. I've always been a nerd. Um, Growing up, nerds were frowned upon. You know,
Frowned
you know
upon.
that
Frowned upon.
we're at the bottom of the totem pole. We're the guys helping all the elites, aka the jocks, pass their tests so they could be the face of the football team. You know, but
Yeah.
funny thing is that at the end of the day, everybody's got a little nerd. Everybody's got a little thing that they like to collect or whatnot. And to me, it boomed. It went into Dungeons and Dragons. It went to meeting Stan Lee, Todd McFarlane, who created Spawn, to seeing Cheese, you know, meeting Elijah Wood, Sean Astin from The Hobbit, you know, the Lord of the Rings series. You know, meeting Ralph Macchio from The Karate Kid. You know, that's
Ooh, I
that's
love
that's what.
him.
Yeah. Um,
I have a signed poster in my room.
yeah, I believe on my TikTok, I have for my I think it was 2022, 2023's Rose City Comic Con. There's a picture of me and my buddy with Ralph Macchio. Took a picture and everything. Got to ask him a few questions and whatnot. It was cool. You know, met a lot of comic book artists. Just so happened, I forgot his name, but I know your fans will probably get on me for this. But the creator of Usagi Ojimbo was there.
Oh,
There's a lot of Islander influence in the Marvel and DC world. You know,
mm.
Rick and Morty, one of
There's
the
a.
pen artists. Yeah.
I bought my friend. I went to like the Bishop Museum. Like it was like 2 years ago or like a year ago, and they had like this Hawaiian comic in there, and I bought it for my friend like just as a gift. Dude, I should send you one. The next time I go in there, I'm gonna grab one and send it to you. And it's
Yeah, there's
like
an artist out here that does that.
yeah, some Hawaiian comic, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" But it was dope. Like it was super dope. But yeah, growing up, I liked Superman. Superman was my. I had this like there was like this thick. Just hear me out. Hear me out. There was this thick book, and it was like all the Superman comics, like all into this huge
It was
ass
like an
book.
omnibus.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like a Superman omnibus. Yeah.
and every time I got like in trouble, my mom would make me go read like it was supposed to be the dictionary, but because the book was so thick, she couldn't tell like what it was. So I just would grab this
Right.
thick ass book, and
Yeah.
I kind of liked I just kind of liked that he had a weakness. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just kind of like that. Like everyone has a weakness. Whatever the fuck
See,
kryptonite is, like what the fuck is even kryptonite? Like what is
well,
that?
actually, see, Superman is actually immune to kryptonite now in the Superman series as they're going on.
See,
I,
he evolved.
I've, yeah. See, here's the thing.
Why do
See,
you hate on Superman?
Marvel. Well, see, because Spider-Man is my Marvel superhero, favorite Marvel superhero of all time. In the DC universe,
They have
my
beef.
favorites, yes, my favorite superhero of all time. He is the baddest man on the planet. He is the most richest, arrogant, billion-dollar asshole there is, and he dresses up as a giant bat in the middle of the night. And
Yeah.
he actually has a weakness, and it's the Justice League. The reason why I hate on Superman so much is because he is probably the most understood, most forefronted superhero everybody goes to. But like, yeah, he's the American way. But for me, I'm a dark person. Like as far as comic books go, I like the darker characters. I like see where they went from loss to achievement.
So
You know what I mean? In every
who's your
issue.
favorite villain?
Mm. Everybody's gonna say, "Ooh, because he likes Batman, the Joker." Nope, wrong. My favorite villain would have to be the Riddler.
Ooh,
He's the first person to figure out who Batman was.
that's a good one.
He was the first person to figure out who Batman was, and he was the last person to best Batman at his own game.
Did he die?
Uh, there's been a few Riddlers, but yeah, the original
The original
Edward
died.
Nigma, yeah, the original Edward Nigma, he died. His kid became the new Riddler.
That's
And then
right. That's
he
right.
got whacked, and then so yeah, like the Red Hood killed him or something like that, and yeah, it's a pretty crazy series. But yeah, the Riddler, it's just because the way he used his mind. He used riddles, always kept Batman on his toes. You know, and for the Marvel universe, would have to be my favorite villain. Would have to be Craven, especially now that they have this new Craven movie,
Who's Craven?
Craven the Hunter. The guy that
Oh,
had that huge lion thing that always hunted Spider-Man.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't catch him. Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah,
there
he's
like isn't there like an order you're supposed to watch like all of these movies in or something?
there
Right?
is. There's a
Okay.
cinematic Marvel Universe order, and
Right. Okay.
it's very confusing for most, but if you really watch into it, you'll be like, "Oh, all right. I get it now."
Because then it helps
And
you
then by the time you get into these
understand
movies,
the next
yeah.
story. Yeah.
But there are some where you would think that like you're like, "Wait, like but that's what?" Like, it kind of like, because it's a multiverse, there's different universes that now they're trying
Yeah.
to put together. So
Yeah.
it's to the new age comic book nerd, it's confusing. So, it's different. They're trying to bring some back, they're trying to deplete some. Disney's fucking everything up.
Disney's
So
fucking
yeah.
everything up.
They ruined Star Wars.
What
Damn it.
what goes into like preparing for a panel? Like what exactly is that too at a Comic Con
What
or
goes into preparing a
like
Comic-Con panel?
like is that for like people dressing up? Are there different panels? Like which one did you
There
do?
is. I did a panel for all the voices of Demon Slayer, all the Japanese and English speakers who did the dubs and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I also do a read off Demon Slayer manga. I also paneled Zoe Saldana and her partner from the Guardians of the Galaxy that played Nebula. That was pretty cool. And then I just paneled Lou Ferrigno last year, who was the
Oh wow.
original Incredible Hulk.
Oh wow.
Yeah. What goes into it is pretty much the vibe, that the panelist, you know, the welcome that they're getting. You feed off the vibe of the fans too, because you're a fan yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's why like I selected like the ones, like they give you a list, right? And like a lot of people jump on like the famous people like Zoe Saldana, Ralph Macchio, you know, um just a bunch of people. And like 2 years ago we had Chris Hemsworth and all these other famous people, the voice actors of Rick and Morty and stuff like that. People wanted to panel them, but here I am wanting to panel like stuff that people normally don't ask questions to, like Critical Role. They're on YouTube as well. They're a live gaming stream for Dungeons and Dragons. I got to panel them too. They have a big following out there, which is pretty cool. Even Obama follows them, which is pretty gnarly. But yeah, going into the vibe, it's just the vibe that you get. The questions that you feel that the fans want to ask that are watching. You want to ask too, like what made you want to do this? What made you want to do that? Asking Stan Lee, that was probably the coolest one. My first ever Comic-Con, right before he passed away. He that was like the greatest. That was the greatest question, because I asked him. I go, "What went into you wanting to do comics? What made you want to do, Spider-Man, the Hulk, Captain America? What made you want to separate from Jack Kirby?" And he says, "You're probably the only person who ever want to ask me the hardships and the come-ups of my industry." And that was his only answer. And he signed my book, and like he continued asking other questions, but he never really gave me a straightforward answer. And that was pretty cool, because I left it at that. You know what I mean? Like, He's just
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna leave you wondering. You know what I mean? And now, like that, he's long gone. He's like, he would have been 105. I'm still puzzling, like, what made him really want to do that? Like, you know, as a fan, you're left wondering. You know, there's just answers that you want answered. You know, you want to know what the next scoop is. Hey, what's coming out next? Or
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that too. I kind of got a little sneak peek. Now that it's out, I had a sneak peek as the 6th season of Cobra Kai for like the first like 15 minutes when I met Ralph Macchio.
Oh, wow.
They were showing the first 10 to 15 minutes, something like that. Like it was pretty cool. Not the whole cast was there, but the mains were there, you know.
That's cool.
But yeah, just asking questions, getting into the vibe, you know, having the audience you know, jump in on it, you know, hearing the pros and cons, the boos and the yays, you know, getting under the fans' skins, getting under the panelists' skin too, you know, like, hey, like when I asked Zoe Saldana, like I asked her, I go, so what made you wanna like kill off Gamora? You know, like why'd you want to quit? And she was just like, well, you know, she gave her answer. I don't know if I was able to answer it on here, but she gave an understandable answer. It's just like time for her to move on with like all the other stars, you know. They made their money, they made their stamp on the scene, and now it's time for them to move on. And some fans just can't get over that hump because they made such an impact, and not just their fandom and their nerdism, but in their lives too, because it made them come out of their shell more. You know, a lot of these people that like, you know, I panel like Ralph Macchio, like him, he got that martial arts, you know, vibe, not just Bruce Lee, but like everybody wanted to be the fucking Karate Kid. Everybody wanted Mr. Miyagi, you know what I mean, to teach them.
How much he makes an episode.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, 200 million. Or no, wait, 200.
And
200,000.
The man has the ugliest smile. And the man has the ugliest smile. He is voted to have the ugliest smile.
The other dude,
per episode.
The older dude gets 175,000. I mean, it's probably like ballpark, you know. And then the other main character, the white blonde guy, he gets 100,000.
Tiny Lawrence.
I'm like, bro, let me be in one episode. Like,
yo,
I want to be in one movie. Like 30K.
Like that's the thing.
Movie, 50K.
Like
100K.
you just get your face in there. See, that's the thing though. Like you, like, see, that's the thing. You're in a generation of nerdism where I can say this because I too am a connoisseur of the sport. I love martial arts.
Yeah.
Okay. Martial arts is a big thing in movies nowadays. Like it can happen, you know, it's just, you just got to seek it. There are a lot of people that make really good, like short martial arts films that a lot of big producers and directors catch on to, and they make them into movies. Like they actually star the person. Like, you know, a lot of the actors and actresses in Cobra Kai, some of them are actual martial arts prodigies, you know, and you know, it's insane. But like, yeah, that nerdism, you should just never, just the what ifs can happen. Oh man, I wish they can happen. You know, I never thought or wish that I would be here at this point in time in my life where my demographic was, I was either going to end up spending the rest of my life in prison, spending the rest of my life out on the streets, or just contemplating being a regular Joe Schmo 9-to-5er. You know, the things that I was told that I loved were bad growing up and I shouldn't do, it's got me here. You know, comics, being a nerd, you know, cannabis, you know, knowing what I know, you know, seeing what I see.
What's one of the coolest memorabilia that you have?
It is inside, but it is a Eastman and Laird Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
Yes, both signed by Eastman and Laird. But not only is it signed by Eastman and Laird, it has the New York City backdrop with the turtles falling, and it has over 65 different signatures from different artists who have been featured in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series and the Last Ronin series. I've got Jim Lee, I've got Steve Buscemi. I've got like all these crazy artists, you know, Peach Momoko, uh, shoot, like just a whole bunch, Kevin Smith, just all these gnarly signatures, and I had them all sign in their favorite color for the Teenage Ninja Turtles. So, you know, blue, orange, purple, and
Wow.
red. So this book, it had a blank cover with just a backdrop of the turtles falling, and I've got like 65, 66 signatures. I'm almost completed. I've almost had it completed. I'm missing like maybe 4 signatures left, but I've had it like since I've gotten here, and that's like a 4-year journey of me just getting signatures.
That's
But
badass.
yeah, that and a reprint issue of The Amazing Spider-Man #1, the first appearance of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
badass. You got some good shit.
Yeah, I'll send you some pictures and stuff like that that you can post out and stuff like that, some videos and stuff of like me and my panel. I didn't really get to do all that because I have them all on my camera, and you know, like it's just been so much this year for me because I haven't really been delving into social media as much because of my health. I'm trying to focus on my health, my family. But this year is like kind of like my uncaging, I guess. I'm trying to make it back into the scene, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
trying to
Social
educate
media.
more. Yeah. I'm trying to educate more this time though, instead of just gloating and showboating like most weed tubers do. You know, I've been there,
Yeah.
I've done it. You know, I've had my community, guidelines summit meetings. Trust me, I've had my page taken down for some of the gnarliest things I've done with marijuana online. You know, and it's a crazy world though. Like just living this life, knowing how to progress. You know, like that memorabilia, that's what sticks to me the most. Having those memories, having those items. You know, I'm trying to get back into my shoe game now. I'm trying to be a shoe nerd. So,
Oh, what do they call it?
sneaker freakers,
Yeah, yeah. No, there's another word for it. Isn't there?
kick whores.
Now you're just
I don't
making shit
know.
up. Now you're just making shit up. No,
Look,
it's
I'm
called
balding. Like, I'm going crazy. Like, you know, like,
there's another word for it. It's not sneaker speakers. It's I forget. But dude, people, my friend, she said so she was looking at these shoes, and she accidentally hit buy, and they were like $1,000, and she was like, "Uh oh," and she like told her husband, and he was like, "What the fuck?" I mean, they were like kind of discounted, but
kind of
so
discounted.
they were like cheaper than they would have been, but she wasn't trying to buy it, and she was like, "What the fuck? There should have been like 2 buttons," and I'm like, "Bro, you did that shit on purpose." She's like, "No, I swear
Buy
to
and
God, I
buy now. That was the 2 buttons.
yeah, buy it
There was
now."
no back. There
Are
was no
you
back and
sure?
refresh.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That shit was crazy. But
that's
yeah,
that's a that's a
I'm curious.
posable.
I'm curious. Some other cool stuff that you have. Not that I need more shit, but not that I need more memorabilia. But that's like the number one thing I'll look for, like online.
I do have one other cool thing, and it's locked away, but it's probably the most prolific thing that has like sentimental meaning to me, just because of the fact that dude like to me is kind of like a hero growing up. You know, you're well versed in the MMA world, so you're probably also well versed. This was like the biggest nerd thing for me. This is what set it off, besides Stanley, and this compares, is Ed and Al DeCoscos. Um, Ed DeCoscos, Iron Chef. He was in
Yeah,
John Wick. He was the bald guy that fought Keanu Reeves. Um, he's
yeah.
making a comeback in some stuff. Like, he's a local boy. His dad was my Sifu and Hawaiian Kaji Kempo's best friend, and he used to come to our dojo all the time at Rec 5 in Malka. And his son, Ed, was there, and at the time growing up, he had just done Double Dragon. You know, he had just, you know, come off this crazy martial arts tour. He was a grand champion. You know, he was about to be with Chuck Norris, some crazy shit. You know, and he signed my gi. You
Oh,
know, my gi top. Yeah,
wow.
and I've had that ever since. That and my black belt, are probably like the two most like prolific like memorabilia things that I've had. And it's just because he was there when I got my black belt. You know what I mean? Like that even stands out even more because like if I was to ever show face again, I'm pretty sure he'd be like, yeah, I was there when you got your black belt. You know what I mean? Like he's always showing up for like martial arts tournaments. He, like that was like the one thing that like I hold dear to like my nerd like memorabilia is that it's because that guy took a stereotype of being a local boy martial artist and now look at him. He's a multi he's he's all over. You know,
Yeah,
you're in
that's
John
sick.
Wick, you're an Iron Chef, you know. But yeah, that's my biggest memorabilia. That my comics, yeah. And
That's badass.
my yeah. And
That's
my
badass.
that's yeah, and just my overall life past, like that's my memorabilia as well too. You know, the
Yeah, all your
memories just
memories.
growing up.
What?
Yeah.
So before we go, any advice for any like young collectors out there? Should they go to
Yes.
Comic-Con? Like,
Anything and everything that is featured in Hawaii, whether it be Comic Con, Kauai Con, go and feature them out. Give your local shop some love. Um, you know, do anything and everything that you feel people have told you not to do or hold you back from like making you enjoy like what you do, you know, whether it be reading a comic book or watching anime or playing video games or collecting video games or smoking pot, whatever. You know what I mean? Don't sell yourself short. Pursue it, you know. Hang on to those little memories, you know, that little action figure, that comic book, you know, or that first bong or whatever, you know, and never ever trust advertisement when it comes to the cannabis industry, you know, like with THCA. Um, it's diet weed, you know, it's dangerous. It's never ever trust it as far as that goes. But yeah, just truly just be yourself. It worked for me. It worked for you. You know,
that's true.
it works for us. You know, look where it got us. It got us to our highest points. It got us to our lowest points. But look, we're still here. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
Martin Luther King said it best, and my dad always used to always reassure me. The measure of a person is not where they stand in times of comforts and convenience, but it is where they stand in times of challenges and controversy. You know, um,
Yeah.
you always take what you feel that you know and love and apply it to your life, and you'll succeed. You know what I mean? Don't let that shit and social media and other people's opinions and bullshit, you know, ruin your day and your mojo and you know
And fuck the
your
haters and
little
go play
vibe.
outside.
Yeah, yeah. You
Go
know,
play
to all the
outside.
haters, you know, to all the haters, stay in your fucking lane. Thanks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
And
know, so
don't talk to us unless you bomb Knob Hill. Then you can be our friend.
yo, if you haven't ventured and given skin to Knob Hill or Snake Hill,
Yeah.
don't say nothing. But yeah,
Yeah.
other than that, though, it's been good. It's been grand. And I had
Awesome.
fun talking to you.
Thank you so much for
And
coming on Lucy's
yes,
Paradise
and
podcast.
once I get my channel going,
Yeah.
you'll be the first to know.
Awesome.
Yes. And you'll probably be the first face on there because I'm going to try and keep it local.
That'd be sick.
Yes. But
Awesome.
thank you so much, Lucy. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes. Yes. Yes.